Hey trail running enthusiasts, welcome back to the weekly rundown. I'm Katy O. You may recognize me as that scantily clad runner who shows up at all your winter races, because why pass up an opportunity to wear butt huggers? This week on the Trails Collective, we've got coverage of trail racing, more FKTs, displays of grit, and really questionable decisions.
And the speedster Katy OReilly. Thanks for bringing us in this evening for the rundown for this week. So let's get into it. What's been shaking in the shop? In this past week or so, we have gotten in some new products. A John G order just arrived. John G, for all of you who may not know, is a apparel company based out of Massachusetts. A couple of collegiate runners post-race decided to start a company, or teammates, I believe, decided to start a company which portion of the proceeds were donated back to other causes throughout the world. I think they started, if not stayed focused on water in third world countries, but they basically come out with a new pattern or design inspired from a different country each year. So it's pretty cool, and they make really cozy fabrics and designs, and it's some pretty sweet stuff. So this one here just happens to be a women's 7/8 inch, or 7/8 rather, tight, just cut a little bit shorter around the ankle. Has a nice drop-in pocket on the side, an envelope pocket on the back, really cozy fabric. Nice going into this shoulder season. A little bit thicker, fleecy tight from Smart Wool here. Really nice, a little bit thicker. Also really nice going into the winter. Side drop-in zip pocket. And then on the other side, a drop-in stretch pocket there. A little bit longer, full length, really cozy tight. Let's see, there was a waterproof jacket. This is the women's version that just arrived today from Saucony, who's just getting back into the apparel business. Probably, we'll wear test it this week. Probably one of the more, or the lower price point waterproof jackets that I've seen come through. So we'll give it a go and let you know. But one in here from Saucony and is fresh in the Trails Collective store. At least it should be loaded this week. Here's a cozy half zip from John G as well. Color may get washed out with the green screen in the back, but just a really cozy fabric with a brushed feeling inside. Nice hits with the thumb loops and a pocket on the front. And then also some classic Nomad pants from a company from a company Sport Hill based out of Eugene. This is one they made an original kind of classic stirrup pant that I wore running in college. And just based out of Eugene, Oregon. This one happens to be the men's version of a run pant. Zip at the ankles, on the side pockets, and just a nice run pant. So some apparel going into the winter is starting to arrive. So if you should need any gear or want to get or gift any gear, for sure give us a consideration in the Trails Collective store. And then also got the VGA Max shoe here. This is one that I wear tested, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago, and just found it to be a really grippy outsole. Probably not the most durable outsole rubber, so if you're somebody who tends to burn through outsole rubber, it's not going to last you as long as maybe like a Vibram Mega Grip or something to that effect. But the grip that it does have in the butyl rubber is pretty outstanding. So if you're somebody who really likes grip, and it also has a protective plate, 4-foot hind foot in the shoe as well, also gives it good protection. Another big selling point for it is it has a pretty bomb-proof upper. So if you're somebody that's tended to blow out uppers with some of your other companies and trail shoes, it's pretty stellar in that regard. So great grip, bomb-proof upper would be a reason to take you into the VGA Max. So check it out. It's in our trail store as well. So let's see. So what's been happening out there in the media, in the TC interviews? Ellie did an interview released this past Friday with Cole Crosby. They dug into, amongst other things, his 50K world record attempt from a couple years ago, which he decided in the final laps to derail by the decision to puke paint the track with Gatorade. So tune in to that episode on the TC interviews to get the details on that one. And then the CULTRA crew released, as we mentioned in a Facebook post last week, an episode with Finn Mallison. I think they released that on this past Friday. and on the concept of balance being overrated and going deep into the FKT that he set or went after in Maine's 100-mile wilderness. I think Jimmy and the crew felt like this was a pretty outstanding episode, if not one of his favorites, so for sure check it out. And in the Pain Cave, Dr. Jay Friedman, he rocked out with author, music journalist, and trail runner Tony Fletcher. Check it out for a little punk UK running discussion. Check it out at the Gunks Runner. All right, getting into FKTs. And again, thanks to the fastestknowntimes.com website. I typically will plug the logo in the back, but this is where I'm pulling the information from. And again, a good opportunity to see what people are doing out there in the competitive sense, but also really cueing us into some really beautiful loops and possibilities for maybe you to go check out. And just inspiration for you to get out there and establish your own FKT route and provide some motivation for others to get out there and go after them as well. So that's why we're taking you through these. As we've mentioned in prior episodes, Justinkowski is probably one who set probably more, well, arguably, I would guess more FKTs than most anybody this year. I'm not sure about other regions, but he's got to be up there. He ran a 1:44 and 3 hours and 34 minutes for the Briarcliff Peekskill Traverse in both the one-way and out and back respectively. And interesting that he took the mantle from one of the FKT originals, Peter Backwin, who set it in 2019. So good job continuing to hammer away, Justin. Vanessa Shea, 3 hours, 5 minutes for the 22-mile Wallkill Rail Trail in unsupported fashion. Bethany Garrett's in 3 hours, 2 minutes for the absolutely beautiful 10-mile Giant and Rocky Peak Ridge for the baseline unsupported mark. This is one that I did with my oldest daughter, who at least was Giant, a couple weeks back, which I mentioned. And I'm hoping to go back and do just this and go through with the 10-mile traverse. It looks really spectacular. So again, this is one where it's an opportunity to just find out about other routes and earmark them for yourself. James Goodart, 4 hours, 38 minutes for the Finger Lakes Trail Letchworth Branch in unsupported fashion. A couple people have been out there setting marks on this section so far this year, this summer, but I think this is the first one in unsupported fashion. Jamie Hobbs and Davin Osvig, I believe, were out there earlier, but I think that they were supported in their efforts. Robert Reeves, 5 hours, 36 minutes for the 30-mile Cold River Loop in the Adirondacks. Jonathan Zaharick, answering Jay's call on a mark for the Bob Marshall Traverse in the Adirondacks. He shaved off a bit over 5 hours from Jay's time of only a week prior for a new unsupported mark of 13 hours, 34 minutes. Great historical route. Check out our episode from last week if you want to hear a bit from Jay commenting on just the history and roots of that section. And then Elizabeth Medore Matthews, 2 hours, 37 minutes for the Rochester area gem, the Crescent Trail, just under 2 minutes below Sarah Kai's mark from April of this year.
Hi, I'm here with Liz Matthews, a Strava local legend, and we are doing a quick video for Ian Golden's trail running weekly rundown. Liz, can you give a quick introduction on yourself other than what we can glean from your jacket?
Yes, I'm Liz. I have 2 young boys, and I just need a focus for running.
And so what did you do to help that focus?
Well, I learned that the Crescent Trail was an FKT course, so I was pretty excited when I found that out in April. And I decided that I'll put all my energy and focus into trying to get close to the FKT.
Cool. Can you tell us a little bit about the Crescent Trail?
Yes, the Crescent Trail is beautiful. The main Orange Trail is 17.5 miles, very hilly, with a lot of varied terrain, rooty, rocky, twisty, swampy, and the majority of people don't run the course. It's a hiking trail, and only crazy people actually run it.
So why now?
Well, COVID. There aren't any races, and I don't love running. I actually love couches and ice cream a lot more. So to get myself out the door, I really needed to focus.
So which version of Turkey Hill vanilla ice cream was your favorite for training? So I believe that's like a nightly couch routine, I would say.
I think we went through several tubs. It's the home style. It's definitely the best vanilla.
That's definitely good to know for all of you vanilla fans out there. Can you tell a little bit about your training?
Yes, my training was very simple. Just run as fast as you can on the Crescent Trail. My first several runs were very disappointing, and actually all of my runs were very disappointing, but then I found out that the section that I live on is the hardest climbing sections. So I was very encouraged when I found that out.
Can you give us a quick rundown of how the day unfolded for you, weather, trail conditions, etc.?
Yeah, so the weather was quite perfect. It was overcast, 40 degrees, and I started, actually it was quite hard for me to actually get there and start because it was just dreary and wet and cold. So my thought process was, you know, Liz, just try, don't be a baby. Oh man, I'm going way too slow. I'm going even slower. Don't fall. Don't slip. Oh my goodness, the road is clear. Yay, the tree that was fallen has been cleared. Oh my goodness, don't slip, don't fall. Oh, I'm done. Now I'm freezing cold. Where's my husband?
Yeah, I know you make this claim of the unsupported FKT, but you know, I'm just curious, you know, who was watching the kids during the training and picking you up from one end or another, getting your car on the other end?
So
just
my
curious.
husband really thought the unsupported FKT was a misnomer. To be clear, the definition of unsupported FKT is that you carry your hydration with you and your calories with you right at the beginning and all the way throughout, and you don't get any external help. And that was my run, but I do have 2 young boys, and you know, I don't take them to the trail with me, so my husband definitely, you know, was very supportive from that end. He watched them for several hours at a time when I trained, and also picked me up and then my car up whenever I did point-to-point runs. So without him, this wouldn't have been possible.
I gotta say, it's pretty cool to have a partner who I share the same passion with, and I think your 2 little boys and your 40-year-old boy are really proud of the accomplishment you made, as well as just all the other women who put down some incredible times on the trail. Any parting thoughts for us?
No, other than this is a beautiful place to hike and run, and we have awesome trail networks here. So, you know, please visit if and when you have the time. Thank you so much for listening.
And how many times do we have to try to do this?
Okay.
I mean, granted, your husband may have not hit record twice, so...
So we're pretending you're not my husband.
You do that a lot, don't you?
Yes, I'm terrible at this. This is my first time, so we've done it a lot. I'm definitely a better runner than I'm a talker.
Well, again, great job, and I'm looking forward to ice cream.
Thank you.
And then in Maine, Jessie Wall and Carissa winning 11 hours, 48 minutes on the beastly Grafton Loop. That's covering 39 miles with 13,000 feet of gain in the Sunday River area for a baseline mixed gender team mark. That's a solid circuit there. And then in PA, Katy OReilly, who brought us in today, 4 hours and 4 minutes for one that we missed on October 11th. Some of these, the marks that are posted to fastest known times midweek, I miss in between episodes. And also on the fastest known time for all of you who have spent any time on that site, is a little maddening in that the results seem to bounce all around. You'll click on one page and it's there, you click on the next page and it's there again, or if you back up, it's not on that page, it suddenly disappears, and really kind of odd what's happening there. So sometimes things just literally disappear, only to pop up later or not at all. But 4 hours, 4 minutes on one that was the Wissahickon Four Corners loop. and she shaved off a bit under an hour from Sarah Walcott-Sapp's time from September. So I did check in with Katy last week, and she's weighing in with a clip this week to tune us into a little bit on FKTs and that loop. So take it, Katy.
So let's talk FKTs. The pandemic has been really difficult for so many people, and runners included, in so many ways. And finding fastest known time courses to compete in has really, taken off as races have been pulled from the calendar. So I've actually gone after a number of FKTs. What I really enjoy about it is the ability to kind of take some of my road racing background and that desire to compete that I've really been missing, without so many races, and apply it to trail running. I've only been trail running for a few years, and my background really is in track and road racing, so I've really missed that competitive edge. And the nice thing about going after FKTs is that I can really compete against myself, and I'm still kind of competing against other people, even if they're not there. I've gone after 6, I've hit 5. The one I didn't get was summiting Mount Marcy. I missed it by a couple minutes. I think it was hour 32 to the fastest time being, I think, an hour 27. But I've been able to kind of set aside some of the ritualistic and really rigid training and race preparation that came with road running, and really just be a little more free and a little more fluid going after some of these trail times. So the ones that I've done, the first one was the Buzzard Marathon in Pennsylvania, which is it's near the Appalachian Trail, and it actually follows a number of long distance trails, Horseshoe Trail, a long railroad grade Appalachian Trail, and it has an incredible amount of vertical gain, which if anybody knows me knows I just love running uphill. I don't want to run downhill, I just want to run uphill forever. So I've sought out a number of these courses that have a lot of vertical gain. Some of them have been point to point, most of them have been loop, and really just enjoyed going out and grinding away at some of these loops. So the other ones that I've done are the AT Cumberland Valley, which is actually a point to point, is about 16 or 17 miles. That one did not really suit me. It was pretty flat and it was pretty hot, and I was really hurting. Made a mini trip up to New York State to hit Sinnemahone Ridge, which was, I guess, a Ben Nephew contrived loop. Also a lot of gain, really pretty remote. I hadn't been in that area, so it was really neat to see some new trails. Also went after Mount Marcy on that same trip and fell short. We flew out to New Mexico safely with masks and isolated, but I hit Sandia Crest, which was really cool to get one in a different state. That one I was the first one to establish it, so we'll see if anybody else goes after it. It had already been posted on the website, and just no one had run it. And then most recently, I did the Wissahickon Four Corners, which is a really neat and special FKT for me because it is fairly close to where I grew up, just outside Philadelphia. Well, I guess technically in Philadelphia. And is a really urban location, but it was 21 and a half miles of really difficult single track, and really became an exercise in navigation because I was only familiar with maybe a third of that loop. And by the end of the day, I had over, I think, 3,500 feet of gain by basically never really leaving the Wissahickon Creek watershed. So all of those are posted on fastestknowntime.com. I encourage you guys to get out, see what's in your area, see if there's anything you can go after. And even if you're not really sure if you're going to hit the time, post, your intent to attempt it and really go after it and, use it to compete against yourself.
And then results. Pretzel City Sports, Palmerton Glow Burn Nighttime Trail at Blue Mountain. And in the nighttime trail at Blue Mountain, the 5K results, Jessica Billingsby for the overall win, edged Matthew Krintz by 2 seconds. That was tight. In the 10K, Jake Martinez and Paris Hayden for the wins. And in the 15K, Matt Engler for the win in 47.47 in the all-dude field. Saturday, October 17th, Virginia Happy Trails members only Pumpkin Spice 50K, also a fat ass style event with a little bit more to it. Dick Schultz took the overall win in 4 hours, 14 minutes. It's a pretty solid time. And Stephanie Hill took the top women's spot in 4:53. Nice work to all out there, and to the Virginia Happy Trails crew for continuing to put on good grassroots trail running events and efforts and group runs and community events. So, all right. Sinnemahone Trail Runs and Ultra. They offered 12K, 25, and 50K options in Emporium, PA. Giving us a rundown on the event and results is prior year winner and all-around fan favorite, Matt Lipsey.
Yeah, scrap daddy. Oh yeah, that's good. Flap that scrap. What? Ew, you broke it. Yeah, chase it around the pan. Hit it like it's been talking back to you.
Hey, check out this really big red oak. I just want to go ahead and say, and take the time here to say that, you know, the entire world is an aid station right now. If you go hungry this winter and you're a woodland critter, it's because you're just straight up stupid. I mean, there's just acorns everywhere. The trees are loaded with apples. Just want to take a moment to, you know, PSA. It's Matt Lipsey coming to you live from a rainy day here in the Pennsylvania wilds. And I just want to say that, boy, we needed this. If you're, you know, in your 30s and it rains, it's just something that you say, boy, we needed this. So here I am saying it. But I wanted to talk to you about something else that happened in the Pennsylvania wilds this weekend. That was the Sinnemahone Trail Race, a couple of different distances there. And the 12K, it looks like Jared Braun took it handily with a 103 win for the men, and Caroline McKenna for the women wrapped it up in 120. And we also want to have a little shout out here, get the VOOV, blast it for Ben Brennan, age 9, not even double digits yet, but breaking the double digits with an 8th place finish. Pretty cool. 25K, another distance in that race. David Stoltzfus Jr., he took the win in 2:32, and that was just over a minute ahead of Daniel Henry, who finished in 2nd for the men. Top for the women that day was Heidi Strauss in 2:49. We move on to the 50K. You know, one of the top 10 plays here. Jesse Fox took the win in 5:45. 2nd was Ben Troy, and 3rd was Sam Deaver, which came down to a 3-second difference between 2nd and 3rd. So one of my, if I was on ESPN, you know, like da-na-na, da-na-na, like be one of my top 10 plays. And then for the women, Jessica Wienman for the win in 6:13. And we had another relative youngster. Must not be a lot to do out there in Emporium. But we had another relative youngster, Benjamin Kaufman, who was 16, and he finished 6th with a pretty solid 50K time. So give a shout out to them. And I don't think that they make you cross the river anymore, but it's only a stone's throw away from my parents' house. So a couple years ago, I did it their first year, and it was snowing, and the river was also about waist deep. And I came to the river crossing. It was the last mile of the race. You forded across the river. They had flags going down it, and they watched me cross the river. And I mean, I was scared. It was like, I mean, the river was flowing. I could barely stand in this thing because it was flowing so hard. It was snowing. I figured if I went under, I was just going to get swept downstream and die of hypothermia. But the race directors watched me go through it and were like, yeah, we're not going to have everybody do that. And then immediately rerouted the course to not ford the river. And I don't think they've gone in the river ever since. But yeah, anyways, I just wanted to share that tidbit of information. Also, just down the road from Emporium is Driftwood, Pennsylvania, where the Pennsylvania Bucktails, the Rifle Sharpshooter Regiment, took off for enlistment in Harrisburg under the command of General Kane. If you know anything about the Bucktails, they had when they enlisted, a guy walked by a butcher shop and he found a buck hide. He cut off the tail with his knife and then stuck it in his kepi, which was the military issue hat for the Union soldiers. And that's how they identified themselves, as they all wore a bucktail in their cap. These guys also had what was called a Sharps rifle. It was a breech loading rifle. Most of the times during the Civil War, they shot smooth barrel muskets. The advantage of having a rifle is there's rifling in the bore of the gun, and that puts a spiral on it. So it's like putting a spiral on a football. You're able to shoot further, faster, more accurate, harder hits, and then not having to stand up to do like a front load on the musket. They were able to do a breech load, which let them stay under skirmishes and cover and things like that, and they were able to shoot a lot better and a lot more accurate. So these guys, they were in every major battle of the Civil War, and they were known for their sharpshooting ability. Pretty crazy. PA Bucktails, A lot of them came right out of Cameron County there. There's actually a statue in Driftwood just down the road. I wanted to shout that out as well. So congrats.
All right, next up, and to cue in on a weekend put on by the PA Trail Dogs, comprised of the Little Pines 5-miler and Call of the Wilds 25 50K, is 25K runner up Eric Kosek. And we're going to weave in the rundown from 50K winner Reagan McCoy. So take it away, gents.
Hello, Trails Collective, freaks, geeks, and otherwise awesome people. Eric Idiot Runner Kosek coming at you with his beautiful daughter,
Lauren.
Idiot Runner Lauren. Today to talk to you a little about a race that happened this weekend, or a couple races that happened this weekend down at Little Pine State Park. Let me get close to you here so everybody can see that. Call of the Wilds Mountain Fest happened this weekend. Starting off on Saturday with a Little Pine 5-miler, which is a moderate trail run, 5 miles around Little Pine State Park. You get a good view of the beautiful lake and all the pretty fall leaves this time of year without having to kill yourself like some people do on Sunday when they run the 25K and the 50K. It's a great race for anybody just starting out or the whole family to get involved in, have a good time, not worry about anything. One of the coolest things about this race, I believe Craig Fleming, the race director, said it brought out more than 100 12-year-olds or 12 and under, kids that are 12 and under. So that's awesome to see that kind of youth getting involved with these races, and it sure was a beautiful day for it. So the results from the Little Pine 5-miler. First place went to
Dean Banco.
in a time of 35 minutes and 30 seconds. Second place went to
Nicholas Sturm.
and third place was rounded out by.
Weston Fry.
So congrats to the podium finishers there. On the female side of things, the first female was
Katie Sick.
in a time of 40 minutes and 33 seconds. And she had a pretty phenomenal weekend because she also got engaged this weekend, which is probably a little cooler than winning the overall Little Pine 5-miler, but I'm competitive, so I get it. A win's a win. Congratulations, Katie. That's awesome news. Second place female of the 5-miler went to
Hannah Sherwood.
and third went to.
Eliana Schneider.
So, great job to everybody. Again, if you haven't been down there or you're looking for a race to get your feet wet, or your kids are interested in running around in the woods, come to this one. This is the one to be at. Great event, great people, great atmosphere. Sunday it was started out with the 50K event, Call of the Wilds event, which started at 6 a.m. in the morning, so they had to take headlamps with them for the start of the race. Now this course it utilizes the first part of the Eastern States 100 race. So for those of you that have done that, it's pretty gnarly for the first 10 to 15 miles, if not longer. But at that point, it eventually, after a while, it connects back up with the 25K section of Call of the Wilds course and finishes on the same trails. But anyway, the overall winner of the 50K, and that 50K has about 8,000 feet of gain, so it's not your rail to trail 50K. I would compare it to something around Green Monster 50K or Heiner 50K. Although I'm not a fan of comparing races because everyone's different in its own way. But for sure, this one is probably one of the gnarlier ones around us here in the northeast, north central PA. So, winner of the 50K goes to
Reagan McCoy.
in a smoking time of 5 hours, 13 minutes, and 53 seconds. That would be a course record, folks. I've come to know Reagan a little bit here in the past couple months through running and racing and the old Strava monster. Dude is amazing. He's hardcore. He's fast, and best of all, he's super humble. You'll get to hear a little more from Reagan right after I'm done yapping my big mouth.
Hey, Reagan, how's the cake?
Mind if I do a little filming?
Yeah, man, take a close up on it.
Sweet. Tell me about the cake.
Buttercream icing. Really complements the raspberry filling.
Wow, that was thorough.
Second place in the 50K went to?
Eric Wolfgang.
Great job, Eric. And third went to?
Scott Lesh.
So those three rounded out the podium for the 50K, and the first female went to?
Justina Wilson.
In a time of 6:01, which is super impressive. Great job, Justina. Second female was?
Karen Dunn.
And third was?
Justine Polak.
So great job to everybody who even attempted that 50K. It is a very hard course. It wears you down. So just to finish it is an accomplishment. Great job all around. So then at 9 a.m. in the morning, the 25K Mountain Fest went off. Again, another very hard course as far as mileage and elevation gain. I ran this race this time. I've run the course in the past, but this is the first time I've actually run the race. My watch had around 5,000 feet of gain, which is what Craig Fleming, the race director, advertises. Pretty much really steep, long climbs, followed by straight down to the bottom. Let's do it again. So if you're a fan of like the rail to trail and flat marathons, you might want to stay away from this one. But if you like to get out on the trails and have some fun and fall on your face every once in a while and laugh with friends, I highly suggest it. So let's see. First place of the 25K went to
Russell Colback.
In a time of 2 hours, 29 minutes, and 17 seconds. And he beat the second place guy by like 10 or 15 minutes, but he's an idiot. What's the second place guy's name?
Eric Kosek.
Oh, that's right. Third place went to
Joe Nardo.
So there's your top three podium finishers for the 25K, and the females are as follows. Top female finisher was
Mira Menard.
Yep, in a time of 3 hours flat, I believe. Second place?
Lisa Fisher.
And third?
Joanna McCauca.
Joanna Mrauka. Sorry if we butchered that. We try our best. So there's your fields, your winners for all three races. Again, I said at the beginning, it's a great weekend, and there's a little bit of everything for everyone. If you're looking for a challenge and to get on the trails and test where your training's at, this Craig Fleming puts on amazing races, and this one's no different. Heck of a time, great food afterwards. Highly recommend it. So again, I told you Reagan McCoy, he set the course record for the 50K. We're going to go to check him out, and he's going to hopefully give you a rundown of how his day went and what his plans are in the future. I know my plan is to try to catch him at some point. Probably not going to happen, but every race I do with him, that's my plan. Hey, I guess I'll try to catch Reagan. So, great kid, and he's going to tell you how it all went down.
So the Call of the Wilds Mountain Fest is a 25 or 50 kilometer race that runs through the Pine Creek Valley. The whole time you're going to be facing some really tough and technical terrain and almost non-stop strenuous elevation gain. But the most rewarding takeaway is just having the opportunity to run through some of Pennsylvania's most beautiful trails like the Mid-State, Tie Dot, and Panther Run. It really doesn't get much better than that. When I was signing up for races at the beginning of the year, I knew that I wanted Wilds to be my A race. And when the pandemic happened, I was pretty nervous because left and right I saw other runners' A races being canceled, and just saw how devastating it was for them to pretty much have the rug pulled out from underneath them after all that training. So just having the opportunity to do this race, I consider myself very fortunate. And all I can say is hats off to the PA Trail Dogs. I know putting on a top-notch race is their specialty. I can't imagine all the stops they had to pull out to make it happen this year. Just cooperating with state and local governments, meeting guidelines and acquiring permits. You guys are awesome. This was my first endeavor running an ultra, and looking forward to the next year and subsequent years. I would definitely like to wade deeper in the ultra running waters. Maybe something along the lines of 100K or 100 miler. And I have a few ideas I'm throwing around right now. But all I can say is, whether you're a local or an out-of-state runner, definitely add wilds to your running to-do list or any other events that the PA Trail Dogs put on, because the quality of the race and the camaraderie is unmatched. You're not going to find anywhere else.
And that weekend was one that I was really intending to go down to, with a couple of my daughters registered for the Little Pines, and I was going to see if I could weasel my way into the 25K. But with the rise in COVID all around us, and including our county, we kind of made the collective decision to maybe stay put this weekend. Two of my older daughters ran a cross-country low-key race here, and we just stayed close to home. So it's a little disconcerting with the rates really spiking up all over. So we thought it was the better decision. But hopefully all down there had a wonderful weekend, and it looks like a really, truly cool weekend. Let's see, what else was happening? The Biggs Backyard Ultra. As of filming, there were 7 remaining and 60 yards in. This is on Monday evening at 9:30. In the mix, there's 3 TerraUltras, 2 TerraUltrans, 2 from Belgium, and 2 from the US, including Courtney DeWalter and Harvey Lewis. A couple of the other, I think, East Coasters, or our region, Olivier LeBlond. He was 72nd loser, going over the time cut, if I read that correctly, at yard 35, which is a still pretty spectacular effort. And then Aaron Ellison, the 90th loser, going over the time cut with yard 33. But great job to all out there, and it'll be cool to continue to track how this shakes out. All right, upcoming events. Saturday, October 24th, Live Loud Running's Pauchaug Trail Runs. Half marathon, marathon, and 50K options run in the Pauchaug State Forest in Voluntown, Connecticut. Check it out. Registration is open through the 21st, today, Wednesday. So if you're interested in one of those and jumping in a great Connecticut event, check it out. And we'll also hope to hear back from RD Jimmy McCaffrey following next week's event, hopefully with some media. Also this Saturday, Patapsco Valley 50K in Patapsco Valley State Park in Maryland, put on by the crew at White Oak Running Company, one just outside of Baltimore. This is one that looks like a pretty cool event. Looks like it'll have a couple high river crossings mid-race. And this is one that I actually just got pulled through from the wait list for, so looks like I'm heading down to Maryland this weekend to do a 50K. And I'm a little bit mixed about that. At the moment, I'm a little, I shouldn't say a little, I'm pretty teetering on being pretty burned out with the COVID schedule. Pretty tired. There's been some really late nights here. I've been burning very little sleep for months now. I haven't been able to get in that much training, and so I'm just feeling actually pretty whooped and my body pretty just run down. But in any case, so it goes with Trail and Ultra. Hopefully I'll make it down there on Saturday. I will get to meet some from the Maryland crew. It looks like the White Oak Running Company rather puts on some pretty cool events and has their stuff going on. And it looks like they've done a good job with COVID considerations. So hopefully I'll meet a few out on the trail. I'll try to get some images and try to do a rundown on the event post. So, a few others coming up. It's getting hard to track down some of these races that are going or not going. It's a lot of time to click on several links only to find many of them or most of them canceled anyway. But a couple of them that I did just click on that were still coming up in person, but that were capped out, I think, on all of them. But for ones to keep on your radar for next year. November 1st is Fire on the Mountain, 25K and 50K in Green Ridge State Forest in Maryland, put on by the Potomac Highlands Distance Club. Still are running with COVID modifications, but the fields, as I said, are capped out. November 7th, one that looks really beautiful for those in our region, or anywhere if you're catching this. The Rim to River 100. When they were conceiving the event, I think it caught my eye, and I thought, wow, that's going to be a pretty beautiful event. I think it was pretty well considered. Out and back course for the 100-miler that follows the New River Gorge in West Virginia. And West Virginia's only 100-mile event. It's sold out for this year with 199 entrants on the list, but definitely keep your eye on this for next year. Rim to River 100 for a late year. I imagine it would be absolutely spectacular 100-mile event. So keep your eye on it. And yeah, let's see. That's what I got for you this week. And then we also have coming in this week my opening order of the Inov-8 TerraUltra G270. I've had pretty good test miles in it. I'm probably about 70 miles into the shoe. I've taken enough clips here to do the review, and I'm really hoping to film the review this week, and we'll get it plugged hopefully before I take off for the 50K this weekend. So keep your eyes out for that. Pretty solid shoe, and I'll take you through that. So thanks for tuning in this week. We will catch you around this time next week. Thanks for all you can do for sharing in your communities, helping us to build this thing. Thanks to all of you as supporters who are sending info on events, updates, coming on as Patreon supporters. I still got to get you all some swag out there. That will still happen. And I'm just thankful to be doing this in such a crazy year. So, catch you next week. See ya!